Mr. Durbin. Senator Durbin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Boss, breaks my heart to hear the story of you and your loss of your daughter. And I just want to say my heart goes out to you and to your husband. Carrying on for her with your granddaughter is the greatest tribute you can give her, I'm sure. I'm sorry you went through this terrible tragedy. I'm glad you're here today to tell that story. Ms. Pinsky, it's hard to imagine that this government kept publishing your personal information. Did anyone notify them of this breach of privacy?
Yeah, I mean, we notified them immediately back in the first document release, and even before the document release happened, after the Epstein Files Transparency Act passed. Like I said in my testimony, my lawyer teamed up with other lawyers and gave 350 names. And basically every batch that came forward, all the way through basically, I believe it was April, but in the January batch, I was exposed.
So did this happen to any of the others who were present here?
Oh, yes. I mean, all. I think almost all, yeah. Yes, there were hundreds of victims that were outed and Jane Doe's. And, you know, I do want to speak to just the damages for a moment. You know, we've been receiving threats. We've had loss of jobs. We've had loss of confidentiality and privacy. But there's another piece here, and it's that this idea of withholding information, we're trying to get justice. We have always been trying to seek justice. And we're seeing, if you just even look at New Mexico right now, that the New Mexico AG has attempted 5 times to get the files from Todd Blanche and from this DOJ, and it's obstruction. They are obstructing. So for us, yes, of course, there are so many damages. There are so many things that we are mourning the loss of, including a lot of our innocence and who we were as these young girls. But to still see it be obstructed after 30 years, and this is 5 administrations. We're not saying that this is just this administration. We've been at this fight for 30 years. So we just really hope that, you know, there's a huge impact as far as just releasing information and making sure that it's followed up on.
I can't understand how this Attorney General can find 48 hours to visit with Ghislaine Maxwell, who has been prosecuted for sex trafficking, and can't find 30 minutes to meet with the survivors of that sexual predatory conduct.
It's certainly not for lack of trying. We have tried in every way we know how to try. And then we did hear from him yesterday that he would sit with counsel. And I would say, I think many of us in this room would be interested in meeting with him today if we could.
Many of the members of the committee will remember when we had the Olympic athletes in here who had been sexually abused, and the head of the FBI sat through their entire testimony to show his concern for what had happened to them and any wrongdoing by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. That, to me, was the right thing to do from both sides. Why in the world would Mr. Blanche at this point say he doesn't have the time? I couldn't understand his argument yesterday. He couldn't see you because you had a lawyer, or he couldn't see you because you didn't have a lawyer.
Yeah, I think it was because we had a lawyer. But, you know, I think as a career prosecutor, we talk so much about Todd Blanche's credentials in this room, and we've heard a lot about them. And that's great. But I think as a career prosecutor, he should be salivating by this case, right? This case is, it's gold for somebody that wants to prosecute. There are 6 million files. There are thousands of victims. And yet all we've seen is one perpetrator that died in prison. The other perpetrator is now in a minimum security penitentiary. And Todd Blanche believes that there are 0 investigations when he's already been told by members of the House that that is inaccurate.
I'll just tell you point blank, I don't think his name should be called on the floor of the United States Senate until he meets with you.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not too much to ask. Set aside 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever it takes, so that there's clearly an effort by this government to get all the information and make a judgment as to what to do with it. But to shun you and to snub you at this point, there's something else going on here. There's got to be. Someone told me once in politics, there's always a good reason, and then there's always a real reason. What is the real reason why Todd Blanche does not want to meet with the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein?
It appears from the outside reputational harm. And that is what I think is at the core of this, that he prioritizes the reputation of the administration over survivors of sexual abuse and of crime survivors in this country.
Well, I hope the message goes out to all senators on both sides of the table.
And I do want to say, to that end, we've been saying that we're not political. I've asked everyone, we've met with a lot of your offices on both sides, and every single conversation, Mr. Hawley, we had a great conversation with your office, right? It was amazing. And I feel so much hope leaving those spaces, actually. And when we had those conversations, it just felt like you see us as human beings. You don't see us like we have survivors on both sides of the aisle. We are not here to be political. These are just our stories. Like 17-year-old me, I promise you, not political. But so when we have these very real interactions in your offices, we hope that you can put politics aside. It was something so beautiful that we saw during the Epstein Files Transparency Act. There was a moment where Marjorie Taylor Greene went and sat right next to Melanie Stansbury, and that is a moment that will live in my memory forever because they crossed party lines for something that was really important. So I hope that you can all do that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.